Okay, Frank, your box arrived today. So we're going to go ahead and get this taken out, and we'll take a look at your watch and start to do our initial assessment on our way to getting your watch repaired and serviced. Seiko. Okay. All right. Wow. Looks good. Looks good. Okay. So let's get going with initial assessment. All right, got a president style bracelet here. We're gonna switch that out, I think, for your new Uncle Seiko band. That'll be no problem. Okay, so couple things. Like we had talked about, I think you have an aftermarket insert for sure, and potentially aftermarket hands. I'm not really sure, but the dial looks amazing. Yeah, I think those are perhaps aftermarket. Pretty certain. Yeah, the loom doesn't quite look the way it should on those. Yeah, so let's see. This is a December 1980. 6309. Which one is it? 7040? 7040. All right, so bezel turns well with good clicks. That's nice to see. Looks like the original, definitely looks like the original chapter ring. Pretty sure. Might take some close looking to be sure about some of these things, but I think that's right. Yeah, so let's check your crown, see how that is acting. Threads look a little worn, but hopefully you can get things to screw down. Not too many turns for a screw down, but it at least does screw down, so that's good. Okay, so day and date, turn over. That's good to see. We go to first position here. English, Spanish wheel. Everything works as it should on there, so that's good as well. Okay, so a couple things, couple little minor issues right away. I'm going to go ahead and take your bracelet off so that we can take a close look. And there we go. Okay. All right. Well, nice looking case back. No obvious heavy marks. The case looks very clean. Really nice shape. The condition of your case is really good. Yeah, no real big things, just some little age marks. This may have been polished, I'm not sure, but you know, again, that is inconsequential. It's a really good looking watch, and I think we've got a good start. Let me go ahead and see if I can get the case back off without too much trouble. Sometimes people feel that you gotta really tighten these down. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on the machine. I'll bring it. All right, Frank, we've got it loosened up here. So let's go ahead and get the case back taken off all the way. Okay, well, it looks like you're running a little bit. I was able to put a little bit of power into the mainspring simply by shaking the watch a bit, which is the way that you add power to these watches. They are not a winding watch. They are a automatic watch, which means you have to shake them in order to get them to run. Okay, so let's check your case back for previous service. What I'm doing here is I'm looking for any indication of inscriptions in the back of the case. Usually watchmakers will do that. I see one here from what looks like 89, 8/11/89. And then perhaps another one from, it's a little harder to say. 10, perhaps 10 something 6. I'm not sure. Could be 2010, but I'm not sure. Anyway, it has seen service in the past. It looks like it's running pretty well. You had expressed some concern about not being able to wind the watch, but if I look, for example, at what happens when I turn the winding weight, what I get is you're looking for movement in this component right here. And that's exactly what it should do. Let me get your gasket out of here for a moment. So if I take this off, put it over here. Okay, so let's watch your, so your ratchet wheel is engaging, and let's go the other way now. Let's see if the pawl lever goes. Yep. So we are able to get power into the mainspring. Now the mainspring may be broken. I don't think so, because we can see that there's resistance here. This not wanting to move means there is actual power in the watch. I'm curious for sure. All right, so we know we have some motion. I'm going to look at it on the time grapher once we do our final assessments here. So you have a serviced watch. You have some water has been in the movement at some point. So you can see here this loss of surface and material indicates something has been in there. And there's some pitting here as well. The movement's pretty hazy. The other thing that's been done is that your dial or your movement ring doesn't have a spring in it. It has this old piece of gasket that's stuck in here. This rubber piece here, which should not be there. Again, let me take this gasket out of the way. So this is not factory Seiko material. This is somebody's quick and dirty way of holding the movement in place. Let me look at this ring real quick. I want to see if this is the correct one for this particular watch. I'm not convinced that it is. It's giving me a bit of a fit, unfortunately. I don't want to have an issue here. All right, well, that doesn't look quite the way it should, in my opinion. Let me see. Let me get this out. It looks... maybe it's correct. I'll have to look in another example. Okay, well, clearly you need a spring. That goes without saying, but that does not look quite as it should. I think someone has, yes, someone has filed this to open it up to fit, but that's incorrect because you have a very large opening here for your winding stem. Okay, so somebody has adjusted this to work, and it may work, but it's not quite Seiko factory specific to this watch. So we'll put it back in, and we'll flip back over here. Okay, so you may have to take a little bit of a closer look at that as we work. Not that those are readily available, so we might have to work with what we have until we can find one. Okay. Aha. Watch just stopped moving. That's not a good sign. What it tells me, perhaps, is that things are not in their best situation. With this ring. Okay. So now we're running again. What I'm unsure of is how this is working. Okay, I'm going to very loosely put this back in, and we'll go from there. Okay. All right, so we'll get rid of that gasket, and hopefully we'll be able to mend things properly. Now, one thing I did want to point out, and I'm not sure how much of a difference this makes to you. Some people do care quite a bit. Some people may not. I had a very close look at your dial, your hands, and your insert. And they are all aftermarket. I'm not sure if you were aware of that when you purchased the watch, but if you were expecting an original dial, an original hands, an original insert, which I don't think you were for the insert and the hands, but the dial is also aftermarket. I can tell this in a couple different ways. One has to do with the shape of the text here on the A. I'm not sure if you can see that. I'm not sure I can see that. But the Japan text is a sharp tip. Let me see if I can make this a little bit easier to tell what's actually happening here. One moment, I'm sorry. So, you see how that A in Japan has a sharp point? That should be blunted at the top. You can also tell that the loom is yellowish and doesn't have any pattern to it. So that's another indicator. Now, I think your chapter ring is original. It has enough of age on it to be correct, but your dial, the dial is definitely aftermarket, and you can tell using the A's in Japan as a reference. Okay. So I'm not sure it matters to you. I'm not sure it has to matter at all. It's just information. But you know, it's a fine-looking watch. It's just that it's not original factory materials here on the face of the watch. So let's go ahead and put this on the time grapher. Now that we have it running and wound, we kind of see where we are in terms of the performance of the movement. Let's see if I can adjust this. Now, it's not bad. That's actually really good. You know, it's not optimal performance, and we can make it better for sure. But in terms of basic running and functioning of a movement of this kind, this is pretty good. You know, this is kind of where a good starting point. So I don't think we're doing bad with this movement. I think it's a good start, this watch. I would like to get to the bottom of what your concern was about being able to get power into the movement to run the watch, because I've had it running now for, you know, half an hour or so in between while I was examining some of the components, and it seems to be okay. So I'm going to ask you in an email what the story is with that, and we'll proceed from there. Okay, well, again, we're not at a bad starting point. I think we're doing pretty well overall. And if you want to proceed, I will. You can let me know, of course, and we'll go from there. All right, thank you very much. I'll be in touch.